We're talking to the Director of European Cities Against Drugs, ICAD, Jörgen Svidén. Recently you had a meeting in Norway. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, it was the annual meeting of the Norwegian cities in ICAD, which is the seven largest cities in Norway, also members in ICAD who have, as I said, the annual meeting in Drammen, 40 kilometers from Oslo.
Mm. Now, there are a lot of things happening when it comes to drug-related issues. How would you define ICAD's work today in the present situation?
Well, considering the present situation or in general?
Well, we could just start off with the general.
Well, it's mostly in general, I'd say, because not so much related to the present situation, because the situation, it varies from time to time. Sometimes the trend is good and sometimes it's bad. But ICAD's work is mainly about trying to continue to establish the network we have with our somewhat 200 cities, 270, depends on how you count, throughout whole Europe. We have some new member cities from, I'm very happy to say, from Portugal, and we are beginning to see some developments even in Spain, which is very good, because we haven't had them we haven't had cities from these countries for years, which is very, very, very good. And what we try to do is to establish this network to get the cities to work closely together in the fight to get as few as possible to start and as many as possible to stop with drugs. And what I did in Norway when I participated in the network, the Norwegian network in ICAD, is a very good example of how you can work when you have a number of cities in the country. We don't have a specific topic on our agenda that we work on. It's an ongoing work.
Mm. What would you, as a representative of ICAD, regard as the major challenges today when it comes to trying to do something about drug-related issues? What are the biggest challenges?
It's a tricky question, but I'd say I'm quite occupied at the moment to get people realize that cannabis is probably the main issue when it comes to illicit drugs. For me, it's very peculiar, but when you look at, for instance, the EMCDDA or UNODC, whenever they are talking about treatment, they are talking about treatments related to opium, substance. What is it called? Substance. Buprenorphine treatment. But as a matter of fact, the largest drug, the biggest drug, whatever, in every country in Europe, when you look at prevalence, cannabis is the most widely spread drug in every country in Europe. But you never talk about cannabis so much. So I want to raise that issue in our member cities and in Europe, if you like. I think it's the main challenge, if you put it like that.
Because many people nowadays, they think that cannabis should be legalized. They compare it to alcohol. If some people prefer alcohol, why shouldn't other people be allowed to use cannabis? What are your comments on that kind of views?
First of all, you say that many people, I do not agree. More people maybe than 10 years ago, but if you look at this is a guess. I haven't evidence on this, but I think it's a good guess to say that the vast majority of the population in Europe still want it to be illegal. And if you take and it's not legal in any country And you can debate whether it's legal in the Netherlands or not, but they claim that it's not legal, but it's quite all right to go into the coffee shops, and so you could say that it's legal in the Netherlands. But apart from the Netherlands, it's illegal in every country, in every city. Maybe if you take Madrid, okay, there maybe you can debate that as well, because they have a cannabis cafe in Madrid. But apart from these, small spots, if you like, in Europe, it's illegal elsewhere. And why? Because the politicians, the decision makers, regard this as they don't discuss it. The discussions you talk about, you see them on the internet in some, I'd say, small groups. So I don't think it's a threat. We had a voting in Switzerland some time ago, and it was surprisingly many wanting to legalize cannabis, but it was a no. So I do not. We talk a lot about legalizing. You hear talks about, but I think people like you and me raising the question makes it even worse. The decision makers and the population don't want it legalized, and if you legalize it, if it's one thing we know about cannabis drugs, goods, whatever, is that if you have them available, people will do them. So as long as we have them illegal, it's tougher for people to get access to them, and then we can prevent people from getting harmed.
Now, if, as you pointed out, many people are using it, it's the most common drug. Do you have any ideas within ECAD how to fight the scourge of cannabis, how to deal with it? Is it a matter of information, of treatment, of law enforcement agencies, efforts, or how should this be dealt with? Do you have any ideas about that?
I think we have to do everything you mentioned. I think it's about, but I think what we as long as the important bodies in this topic, the EMCDDA, the UNODC, and so on, mainly talk about when it comes to treatment. For instance, they talk about some buprenorphine, Subutex, methadone, and so on. And I'm not against this as such. The medicalization of the treatment section. I'm not against it as such, but we don't talk about treatment for cannabis users. We have to start discussing this